discussing your writing, not only as writing, but what kind of a schizophrenic demand it is that you suddenly switch from reading, drinking, whatever you do, thinking and drinking, and then you're asked to write a dissertation. What's that? You know, there's a radical disjunction here, and it's something we haven't really discussed, what it means to very often people come to me and say they can't do it, they can't hack it, it's too hard. And I say, let's go minimal for a moment. Have you sat on your ass in front of your writing machine? And they go, no. And I said, you know, step one, or not step, but sit yourself down, strap yourself in, try that for a few hours, and then come to me and talk to me. So even that, I mean, baby step, right, that you have to say, you actually have to sit down and shut out all of the interference, tell everyone to get off your case, you know, out of your face, and so on. All of those practices take a lot of discipline and punishment, to quote Foucault. Something we haven't discussed enough. So if you need to do that, you need to tell me. I thought I would start with the beginning, or one of the beginnings of the telephone book. Is there anything that needs to be done or said today besides just moving along? Yes.
Yeah. As you brought up the topic of writing, I want to encourage you to speak about that, and especially also because Wolfgang Schirmacher's remarks on how to write a thesis have been at least a little bit peculiar. I think they are based on his theory of homogenerating, and he really puts that in there. And well, I like the things that you bring up about sitting down and this. In the beginning, you spoke a lot about locking yourself up in the archive. And yeah, if you can bring that up again.
Is there something that struck you as peculiar that we need to address, or just that?
With Wolfgang?
Yeah. Or it's not about that?
Well, he emphasized, not so much, but it's nice to have some different perspectives. And his emphasis is very much on, I think, like, you just do it, and if you don't understand your own writing, that's good, and someone else will figure it out later. Yeah, you want to?
No, so he also gave like 3 methods. He said you have to use the hermeneutic method or a dialectic method. I mean, he was basically sort of formulaic and didn't really seem to have a, sort of contextual thrust, or, like one of the things I think a lot about is, is it better to do something really, obviously you want to do something new and something interesting.
Okay, that's where you're wrong, but go ahead.
Thanks. No, I appreciate that.
This shows me, yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate now understanding. That's terroristic.
Okay.
That no one. One reason, allegorically speaking, we were starting with Phyllis Wheatley is to say yes in a way to our constraints, to our straitjacketing, to the minimalist incursion that we can presume upon the world and ourselves. And let me just say, because I had some of this discussion, which was very fascinating with Roland yesterday, that first of all, it's very dignified, very hermeneutically, phenomenologically, deconstructively dignified, and that's why I wanted to show you how we can practice that, to set up a track of commentary. Let's say you might choose texts or exemplary instances that really you want to dwell with. These are relationships, by the way. Your thesis, you be monogamous for about 2 years and you've got it going on. If you start flirting with every skirt text or whatever comes down the pipe, and not having that kind of monomaniacal relation to the thing called the thesis, it's going to just escape you. So it can be, I would say, remember that it's highly distinguished to go slow, to unload the myth that you're going to do something new, even in a Borgesian way. If you end up doing every word the way someone else did, it's totally different, has a new identity. Do you understand? So get rid of that burden immediately. That's a corpse like Zarathustra had to carry, and junk it, really. Forget about the myth that you're going to do something new, and guess what? Something new will happen. You know, but if you try too hard and you don't do the apprenticeship, which is an enslavement to the work, and snuff yourselves out, forget about your grandiose, ego-bloating fantasies. You're a piece of shit. Just talking about myself. And you're going to follow what I do, and this is almost embarrassing, but you want to hear how I kick into gear? I split myself up and dissociate in a very, very productive way, I think. So I have different corporate moments that are engaged in writing. The first one is, and the first draft, by the way, is no one will ever see. So it's great to just throw on the page some sort of sequencing and then call in the cleanup crew and the cleaning ladies to clean up your shit and tidy up and all that. And no one will ever see it. Very often a big problem is that you think it has to start like a musical symphony. Composers have the whole thing in their head very often. This isn't music, it's language. So you can start with first of all, you send Superego on a little vacation or shopping spree. You say, off my back. Because Superego is saying, really? Is that all you got? You know, and this is embarrassing. You know how much money you spent to, please stop it. Get out, I'm sending you, here's some cash, go out and my credit cards, get out. So Superego is cleared out. That's very important. There should be no judgment for the first draft. None whatsoever. Then I have a fabulous secretary who doesn't give a shit about my work and is sitting there like that, chewing gum, just thinks she can't wait to get out at 5, you know, what she's going to do with her girlfriends on weekends. She just types up the text. She doesn't care. It's very important to have some indifference in there rather than a hyper alert, traumatic kind of suffocating boss type always on the prowl in your writing self. This is what happens with me. It may or may not work for you. And it's very nice to have these unengaged workers working for me, because punching out a text is manual labor. It's exhausting. Your body hurts, your stomach hurts. You have to figure out how you're going to eat. If you eat too much, then you're going to get tired. If you eat too little, you don't have the energy. It's an exercise. That's why I was trying to include athletics in some of our philosophical adventures. So then it's going to go up the ladder. You know, eventually Superego comes and checks it out, and with its usual snobby, I don't see what's so great about this. But then you can say, you can negotiate, you can even have a summit meeting of all the parts and say, okay, if this sucks, oh, there's also another thing. I have a Beavis and Butthead critical literary criticism partnership going on. And all I want to know from them, do you know who Beavis and Butthead is, if it sucks or if it's okay. You know, they're very stupid. I don't want to hear more than that. And if they say it sucks, then it's out. You know, I don't have to hear more than that. So that gets called on. You know, they're just a consultant firm, though. They don't add much except a very stupid yes or no. Then there can be the committee, the summit meeting, where all the parts sit down and say, okay, Superego is unhappy and is raging, this is all we've got, I'm really disappointed, I can't believe it. And all of that nonsense, you know, of utter contempt. And then you say, okay, so what do we do? So if you can distribute the different functions, if this helps you, I think it's helpful. A lot of people have wanted to follow this kind of splitting parts, orchestration of the practice of writing. I think that would be good, because if you go in there with superegoical, alpine, oversized kinds of judgments, nothing's going to happen, really. You got to send that out of the district, really, so where they don't even pick up a signal from you for a while. So try to divide it up, stagger it, and start modest. Humility is very important. Start modest, start small, and let it grow. If you start big, like I want to write about time, you're going to drown. You're going to drown, you're going to despair, you're going to flip out, and it's too much. Start small and start listening to your passion. Let's say you really love the way Novalis writes about the blue flower. Just go there. Or say you're very concerned about this motif. Collect some exemplary texts or passages and go there. Then go in there and do a rhetorical reading as well. No one cares about your free associative fantasies and cloud formations. Go in there, and that's why we've been practicing together. See what's going on in the language, and throw yourself at its feet. Be subservient, be compliant, allow yourself to be dominated, and allow yourself to be instructed and taught. It's not the place for musculation or thinking you're hot shit. Allow yourself to just get rid of the hot and be shit, you know, in front of this and work with it. Does that help at all, or is that off the wall? You know, because otherwise it's just too much. We have great masters and teachers and writers, and rather than putting up a fight in some hopeless ecological playoff, call them in, summon them in. You can do that by meditation or something. Ask them to come in and help you write and think, and choose your free spirits, you know, as Nietzsche did. Just invite them in. I think it is good, probably, though I don't practice this much, to show your work to each other. However, as Goethe said, if he had listened to his friends, not even his enemies, not a single line would have survived his work. Because friends, that's what friends are for, to say, why don't you get rid of this? Oh, you don't need this. I don't know about that. Nothing survives. So, I don't know. Or give it to your friends, but remember what Goethe said and watch them start switching on the shredder, you know, and just smile, rather don't panic, just expect it. Expect the shredder, or the erase to go on, the liquid erase, just take them away and work. That's what friends are for. That's rough, that's rough. If you're stuck, God forbid, then you can call friends and say, here's what I'm doing, and where do you think I should go? I'm somehow not moving. And that kind of discussion can pull you out of a ditch. But basically, there's no substitution for reading, and what you need to be able to do in the end, which is the introduction, and when you call it a wrap, you wrap around your work something of an infomercial. There you can get a little ego in there. You need to bring yourself to the table and situate yourself in the world of scholarship and thinking and creativity and say where you are. What question do you bring to the table? What is your question mark? Here's my question mark. I am at the table. I now take my place. You situate yourself. You don't go just on an autistic lane, because then that's going to fall off the earth very quickly. As soon as it shows up, it's out. It's already an alias or alien and deleted. You really, really want to, in the end, stand up for yourself and your text and say, this is what I bring to the table. And fake it till you make it. Really, you don't, that's not when you do the, who am I, I'm a piece of shit, I'm nothing. You don't know how many emails I get that, I'm nothing, I realize I'm a piece of shit. You know, I go, that's great, that's a great writing posture, but now, you know, we have to re-narcissize and build up, and at the end of the work, as a kind of victory lap and wrap around the text, you do want to be more assertive and show what you have brought to the table. And if you don't know what you've brought to the table, that's where Wolfgang is absolutely right. You ask someone to tell you, okay, what have I done? Where does it belong? How can I situate myself? Because you can't spill out or spin out as some sort of rogue, solitary satellite that no one can connect with. You have to make the connections and install the cables and all that. In a world that is having debates and discursive encounters around these themes. So that's very different than doing something new. If it were really new, it would be unrecognizable gibberish. You can't, even if you wanted to, you couldn't do something new, because it would be completely detached from the world of discourse. So you're in conversation, and that's what's going to constitute you. You're responding, you're quoting, you're attuning, and it's part of the sacred package deal of writing, that there will be stalls and stops and stumps and stupid moments where, and there again I say, think of yourself as a sleepwalker. Don't look down. Don't ask, don't wake yourselves up. Don't ask, why am I doing this? During the war in Vietnam, long ago, when I was a tween or so, there was a song, you may remember, and it's 1, 2, 3. What am I fighting for? What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? So I always have the song, what are we writing for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And believe it or not, and this is my idiosyncrasy, and I'm ashamed to, I've been called upon to say, I sometimes listen to right-wing music to remind me who the enemy is. And I pump up on the enemy, you know? So it's such a foolish, I have never confessed it before, I'm glad we're being filmed. For example, it can be as regressive and stoopy as, I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee. Does anyone know that? Mm-hmm. You know, it's so right-wing, and it's so hating on hippies and peaceniks and so on, and they're proud. And
just an Okie from Muskogee.
Yeah.
What's that song about? We don't get our kicks on LSD.
We still fly Old Glory at the courthouse.
Yes. Oh, is that it?
Yeah, it's just, and then we don't wear long hair, and we wear manly footwear. Not like those sandals that the hippies out in San Francisco wear.
Oh my God.
So, you know, it's just, I mean, it's funny because now the right wing doesn't, all the right wings don't, sometimes very often, have long hair, and so, but there was a whole semiotics of right-wing appearance that is okay. Or I might switch to something really lamentable like Stand By Your Man, and I switch in my head to Stand By Your Text. But it's that start, do you know that song? It's Hamlin. And it was written when the racist Governor Wallace was shot. And the song came out saying, Stand By Your Man, even though he's total racist asshole. You should stand by him. But it starts out with sometimes, I can't sing today, it's hard to be a woman, you know? And then it's Stand By Your Text. But that's also because in Deleuze, all writing, this is maybe problematic, and we could look at it more closely, but all writing involves you in becoming woman. Becoming woman, which is to say, this is all problematic, but nonetheless, the experience of a powerful submission and ability to carry the disappearance of agency or ego kick. So writing involves everyone, no matter how you're gendered or constructed or what you think you are, in becoming woman. There's a moment, a year, a 10-year spectrum where you are subjected to the other in an exemplary way. For Deleuze, becoming woman is absolutely laudable and necessary for anyone who truly wants to think, which is to dial it down. Even in Heidegger, it's about dialing it down, pianissimo, pianissimo, and subjecting oneself before becoming subject.
Okay. Can I ask a question about your writing process? Because Wolfgang also advises a sort of division where at first you get your materials, you do a table of contents and the bibliography, and then proceed to writing, say, in the next year after the first year of gathering materials and structuring. Do you do something so clear-cut, or?
I know that a lot of people appreciate that, and it's like gives you something to hold on to, or a life raft, or a scaffolding, and it's really a matter of whether you imagine yourself. You know, it helps me to imagine myself sometimes as an architect or a painter, but when I'm an architect, I might try to have a sketch of the house of being, and then I might say, where's the bathroom? You know, where's the kitchen? Should it really be attached to the bathroom? No, you know. And so I do go through lots of translation work in order to, because being a writing is too much of a hitch hike on the death drive. So I have to back off and pretend I'm something else, which is fun. Or I'm in a rock band, who knows, you know, where you do have a way of improvising and listening. I don't know if you've seen Godard's film on the Rolling Stones, where they're rehearsing, and one of the Rolling Stones finally in hour 6 or something says, well, what if we added doop-doop? Doop-doop. And that becomes the song suddenly happens, and you just, one thing that really, really bolstered me, I can't explain why, is a film on Charlie Chaplin when he was directing film, and he was absolutely insane about doing retakes. He would say, cut 1 billion times and say, I want you to do this. So then the actor would go, no, I said this. We don't see the difference. And he's raging about doing it over and over and over again. Somehow that really helped me. Now, I had to write my thesis in the days of typewriters, which meant that my floor would have these balled up pieces of paper. You couldn't even walk in, because if you made a mistake, you'd have to pull out the page and type all over again. It was real manual labor. It was horrible. They wouldn't accept liquid erase or anything of that sort. You don't have that, of course, that terrible, but also useful thing of seeing you being the sorcerer's apprentice and having to drown in rejected balls of balled up papers, you know? But seeing someone like Chaplin, who would not be satisfied and allowed himself and forced the other to somehow go to the micro level of a gesture, which escaped I just didn't see what was the problem, and he just freaked out. He goes, not this, this. But that somehow helped me to understand that we do have billions of do-overs, and one of the big constraints is time, of course. So somehow, again, it's a Nietzschean practice of how to get, and Rolling Stones, I don't even know why they're coming up so often, probably your name, Roland, you know, Rolling Stones, of getting, what?
I said we're all stoned.
Yeah, you're always stoned. Of getting time on your side. Because the worst part of writing, especially a dissertation that has to be clocked in at a certain moment, is the sense, for me, of being rushed. Now, once I visited Friedrich Kittler in his Berlin apartment, and his editor called him. So he took the call, his publisher, editor, and I heard him screaming at him that you cannot, because the editor wanted something by a deadline. He said, a writer cannot be constrained in this way. Fuck your deadline and so on. And I thought, wow, I'm always like a few days ahead, maybe a week ahead, but at what cost to my health, you know? And so English was pushing back vigorously. I'm not saying that's a great idea, but for me, I feel there's a very strong stranglehold when the deadline is coming up, and I don't like that. I have to somehow manage a relation to time that isn't completely destroying my experience of writing. You know, like when you say it's due in 5 minutes. Then, unless you want to be, you're in shape to be a sprinter, or you want to be a journalist in your imaginaire, you know, if you like that, if it's libidinizing. But I think that's undergraduate temporality, you know, to pull an all-nighter to get a text done. I'm more on the slow track, which means endless, you know. So that's hard too, because writing is mono-railed. So we are all splintered, and we've signed on to many and multiple contracts, right? Some of you have families, you're responsible for your teaching, writing, painting, photography, and so on and so forth. So even to secure a space and time for writing, it's very hard, but that's what you have to commit to yourself, even to the extent of in your, when you make appointments, block out time for yourself, and if someone says, can I see you, or you must see me, you have to say, I'm sorry, I have another appointment. You don't say, yeah, I'm free. You're not free when you're a writer. You're just not free. So you can write yourself in as an appointment, a block of 4 hours. The other thing that's really good is to write every day, even if it's 10 minutes, 1 hour, to keep with it, to have that space of writing, and not to do some weekend sprint, or, you know, then you get, that's hard, but if you could fit it in even for 10 minutes a day,
I just wanted to add, we all started off with a guest author who said to me that he wrote every morning. Like, that's what he did before he exercised, before he did anything. And then he said he would exercise in the afternoon. Because for a lot of people, your energies are high. So I just wanted to ask you, do you, like for all of us, do you recommend sort of a certain number of hours per day writing?
It
You mentioned
really
4.
depends. I should get up and meditate, but I get up and I'm in that saddle in the morning before anything wakes up or puts its claws in me, and the billions of demands. I have over just one tiny sector of my responsibility involves over 60 letters of recommendation. If I, God forbid, had writer's block on that, each letter, and it might be for someone's tenure, so that requires setting everything aside and reading their work, writing an essay on them. So that's like, I had the fantasy of publishing all my letters of recommendation. Plus, it freaks me out because I know that my knucklehead colleagues, that's the only thing they'll ever read by me. So I feel it better shine and, and be up to the standard. So that's a lot of pressure. That's only 1/80th of my workload. I know you all have also impossible workloads, and that's a problem.